The morning sun cast a gentle glow on the gray stone roofs of Alberobello village. We returned to visit the locals, only to learn that their farmlands had been ravaged by wild boars. So, our team decided to help them protect their crops. But this time, we wouldn't wait for nightfall. Above the fields, rotor blades cut through the wind, trembling slightly with every move. Our eyes scanned every plot of land, hands gripping weapons tight. The whole team was ready. The hunt would begin in the skies, where nothing could hide, for the seeds, for the harvest, and for the peace of the village. Come join us on this mission. The weather was misty. Barely after takeoff, we spotted a herd of wild boars tearing through a field at the edge of the village. Without hesitation, we shifted formation. I gripped the controls, keeping altitude steady. The moment arrived. He held his breath, squeezed the trigger. Boom! The bullet ripped through the air, and the animal collapsed right in the middle of the field. In the skies, there's no room for improvisation. Every flight path, every angle of approach is pre-calculated based on years of studying the boar's movements. We don't chase. We simply stay one step ahead to protect this land. As the sun climbed higher, golden light spilled across the cornfields, scarred with destruction. This time, only one boar appeared. Big, fat, clearly separated from the herd. I adjusted altitude, keeping the helicopter steady. John, our veteran marksman, lined up his shot. Bullets sliced through the air, swift, precise. The beast froze, then dropped instantly. Next, we moved to another area, a field the villagers had harvested just last week. Yet, the boars kept storming in, trampling the soil and threatening to destroy the next crop. I held the chopper low and steady, giving John the angle he needed. The barrel heated up quickly as bursts of fire streaked toward the scattering shadows, each shot removing a hidden threat to the crops below. Through the haze, Mark spotted another herd sprinting across a harvested field. Shots fired with precision, none missing their mark. Boars crumpled on the spot, never standing a chance. Whether the weather favored us or not, our resolve to defend the harvest never wavered. Our squad rotated, and the new group included Ellie, the only female sharpshooter on the team, but fearless and skilled. We headed to a fresh area, crops thriving in peak season. As expected, the destroyer showed up again, feeding recklessly in the open. I held the chopper steady, keeping her angle perfect. Ellie's trigger squeeze was firm, decisive. The target fell in seconds. Clean execution, every shot unervingly accurate. Under the golden afternoon light, the mission went on exactly as we had trained countless times before. What do you think of our teamwork here? Don't hesitate to leave a comment with your thoughts. As dusk fell, we decided to take on one last target before returning. This time, the boar was far more elusive, weaving through thick brush in an unpredictable zigzag. The team strained their eyes, anticipating its next move, trying to calculate the perfect angle. Suddenly, it burst back into the open field, where two others were waiting. No chance wasted. We quickly repositioned, coordinating to cover all three at once. Firm, unhesitating shots rang out. All three were brought under control with ease. By the end of the long day, fatigue weighed on us, but relief prevailed. Another mission completed, another day securing the farmlands just as we had promised the villagers. And so, our journey in Albrobello came to an end, filled with pride in protecting the harvest. Even with setbacks from the weather, teamwork and local support carried us through. Wild boars, creatures once thought to lurk only in deep forests, have become a true nightmare for rural communities. They rampage through fields, destroying crops, attacking livestock, and even targeting humans. Faced with this growing threat, farmers and hunters are forced to take action to protect their livelihoods. How have they confronted these ferocious beasts? Join us on a thrilling and suspenseful journey to hunt wild boars in today's video. Join us at the snowy hills of Montana, USA, in the depths of winter, where wild boars relentlessly churn the frozen ground, wreaking havoc on ecosystems and crops. We've come fully equipped with firearms, cold weather gear, thermal binoculars, and all necessary tools. The hunt in the frigid wilderness officially begins. Tracking footprints etched in the thick snow for an hour, we suddenly heard a strange noise ahead. All of a sudden, a dark shadow shot out from the bushes like an arrow slicing through the air. Immediately, I raised my rifle, locked onto the target, and pulled the trigger. The gunshot rang out clean and decisive. The beast collapsed, tumbling a few times on the snowy ground before lying still. It seems my gunshot startled the other prey nearby. From a distance, another wild boar emerged. Swiftly pulling the trigger, the bullet struck its head, leaving the beast no chance to escape. The winter battlefield ended with victory for the steely hunters. Now, join me for another hunting adventure in the scorching summer of the American South, where the blistering heat drives wild boars to gather around fields and water sources. Firearms, binoculars, and tracking gear are ready. A new battleground, a new hunt begins now. Trekking along the hillside at dawn, we swiftly set out to hunt the ferocious beasts in the area. Suddenly, a rustling sound nearby signaled something approaching. A dark shadow burst from the thicket. I immediately drew my rifle, aiming straight at the target. The gunshot rang out decisively. The beast collapsed instantly, completely subdued by the hunter's barrel. The hunting dogs were unleashed, swiftly picking up the scent and driving the prey toward us. Moments later, from the edge of the hill, a massive beast suddenly charged forward. Unfazed, I raised my rifle, locking onto the target. The gunshot echoed through the still air, and in an instant the beast collapsed onto the parched ground, unable to resist. A few minutes later, another wild boar was struggling to climb up the rocky cliff. I raised my rifle, squinted to align the shot, and pulled the trigger without hesitation. The bullet whistled through the air, striking the target dead on. The beast lurched violently, then staggered, sliding down the hillside. Not far away, a teammate of mine was swiftly shouldering his rifle, eyes locked on a target sprinting wildly across the hills. The prey tried to accelerate, but mere seconds later, a sharp crack echoed. All movement ceased. IT collapsed without time to react. Today's journey concludes with breathless pursuits through untamed wilderness, where neither the harsh winter nor the blazing summer could halt the hunter's steps. All actions were carried out in strict accordance with legal regulations in designated hunting areas in the USA.
On the island of Corsica, where rugged terrain allows wild boars to multiply uncontrollably, wreaking havoc on the fields and orchards of local farmers, Max, a seasoned sharpshooter, has taken up the challenge. Armed with his trusty rifle, he ventures into the Corsican hills with a mission to eliminate these destructive pests. Will he succeed? The first stop was a gentle hillside. While weaving through dense thickets, Max suddenly detected movement in a clump of trees ahead. He halted instantly. Breath held, finger poised on the trigger. A rustle broke the silence, and with a single shot, the wild boar that emerged collapsed on the spot. Soon after, more targets began to appear. With the damage they had caused, Max was determined to eradicate these wild boars completely. From a high hillside, a massive wild boar charged down at breakneck speed. Max reacted instantly. He shifted position, raised his rifle, and seized the moment with split-second precision. The shot rang out, the target collapsed just meters away. It seemed Max had stumbled right into the boar's lair, where they were numerous and aggressive, making the hunt more challenging than ever. Capitalizing on the chaos, Max pressed his advantage, taking down several more targets. Continuing to track a startled herd of wild boars, Max knew he had only minutes before they vanished deep into the forest. He moved silently, closing in on his targets, and then launched his counterattack. Following the sharp crack of gunfire, the fleeing targets were brought down with supremely accurate shots. As dusk fell, Max continued his journey to the southern grasslands of the island, a known hotspot for large wild boar herds. The open terrain offered clearer views, but demanded lightning-fast reflexes. Barely arriving at the clearing, a wild boar tore past, frantic and chaotic. But the moment it entered his sights, Max pulled the trigger. As always, the target dropped instantly. Hours later, while scouting the nearby area, Max was suddenly charged by a fully grown male wild boar. The distance was too close for hesitation. On instinct, he raised his rifle and fired. Though unprepared, the shot was precise to the centimeter. Max quickly followed the remaining tracks. 1, then 2, then 3 more boars were spotted. He gave them no chance to turn back. Deadly shots rang out with cold precision, silencing their escape. And then, while moving along the edge of a sparse forest, Max spotted a wild boar lurking behind a tree. It was a perfect opportunity he couldn't pass up. A precise shot, and the beast collapsed just steps away from him. However, the gunfire startled the remaining targets, sending them bolting from their hiding spots. That was their fatal mistake. In less than a minute, Max systematically took down each fleeing pest, ending their destructive rampage.
Our helicopter lifted off the ground at the break of dawn, cutting through a thin veil of mist that blanketed the southern Italian grasslands. The pale morning light drifted across low shrubs, where wild boars silently roamed, leaving behind winding trails of hoofprints. Inside the cramped cabin, the engine's roar pounded against our chests. Neither John nor I spoke a word. Only the sharp clicks of rounds being chambered broke the silence. Focus was absolute. Our hunt for the day had begun. On the very first scouting run, we spotted a pack of jet black boars lumbering along the forest's edge. Startled by the engine's thunder overhead, they scattered in chaos, leaving a tangled mess of tracks on the grass below. John raised his rifle calmly. Each shot he fired found its mark with absolute precision. My hands gripped the controls, feeling every vibration as the helicopter shuddered with each sharp burst from his weapon. By the time the sun rose higher, we had found another massive herd. They scattered in all directions, weaving unpredictably, making pursuit nearly impossible. I kept the helicopter at just the right altitude, giving John the perfect angle. John squeezed the trigger with composure, his bullets slicing through the air before slamming into the targets. I adjusted in sync with his every move, our teamwork flowing like a silent dance. One by one, the destructive beasts collapsed under his steady aim. Relief washed over us. We knew the farmers' fields were a little safer now. The golden blaze of the afternoon sun stretched across the grasslands, adding yet another challenge to our hunt. From above, we spotted two stragglers wandering near the forest's edge. John wasted no time. He steadied his rifle, eyes locked onto the targets. Each bullet flew true, decisive and unerring. Both boars fell quickly, and for a moment I felt as though the farmer's entire harvest had been spared in that single instant. Had we not intercepted them, the losses would have been devastating, months of labor destroyed overnight. What do you think of our seamless teamwork? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The Italian sun bore down mercilessly in the late afternoon, its blazing rays scorching the golden fields. From the helicopter, the shimmering air made aiming unreliable. Realizing conditions had turned against us, John and I made a swift decision: land the aircraft and continue the hunt on foot across the grasslands. As we followed a narrow trail cutting through the tall grass, a guttural growl suddenly erupted from a nearby thicket. My rifle came up instinctively, sight locked on the flicker of movement through the swaying grass. I squeezed the trigger slowly, one sharp crack, one clean shot. The bullet struck true, and the beast collapsed instantly. As the sun dipped westward, painting the fields in golden hues, we spotted a lone boar resting lazily, completely unaware of our presence. I steadied myself, rifle raised, eyes locked on the beast. With one smooth motion, I pulled the trigger. The shot rang out, precise, decisive. The boar froze, then fell without a sound. Clean, efficient, without disturbing the tranquility of the land. What do you think of the way I handled this? Share your thoughts below. With spirits high, our team decided to push on into night. Our targets remained the same, the massive, dark figures that lurked in the fields, sabotaging the farmers' crops. Then, a sudden rustle in the brush. A boar burst out, lightning fast. My heart nearly stopped. But John's reflexes were razor sharp. Without hesitation, he moved like a seasoned hunter, his bullets cutting through the chaos with pinpoint accuracy. The beast collapsed before it could inflict any more damage. We laughed in triumph, satisfied with the day's success. As we packed up and headed back to the village, we felt like heroes of the harvest. Today's hunt closed with tense encounters, flawless teamwork, and the kind of precision only born from experience and responsibility. Every bullet counted, every decision mattered.